Let's look at the Xiaomi SU7. It is a sleek, highly capable electric sedan built by a consumer electronics company. For the last couple of years, it has been competing directly with established American heavyweights like the Tesla Model 3 in the Chinese market. This chart breaks down exactly how they compare. You'll notice the SU7 Max boasts a range of over 800 kilometers and hits 100 kilometers an hour in under 3 seconds. It comes with a built-in refrigerator, seamless smart home integration, and offers highway and urban navigate on autopilot completely free. On top of all that, it heavily undercuts the Tesla Model 3's retail price. By almost any consumer metric, it is a highly competitive, desirable vehicle. But if you live in the United States, you cannot buy one. Washington has constructed a massive, two-part regulatory fortress to keep these cars out. First, they imposed a 100. Second, the Department of Commerce issued a sweeping rule to completely ban vehicle hardware and software connected to Chinese-affiliated companies. The dual approach reveals exactly what the U.S. government fears. The economic tariffs are a defense against how these vehicles are built so cheaply. The technology ban is a defense against what these connected cars are capable of doing on American roads. To understand the manufacturing side of that fear, we have to look at the domestic environment inside China. Throughout the early 2020s, hundreds of EV startups engaged in a relentless, brutal price war. If you look at this graph mapping the Chinese auto industry's financial health leading into 2026, you see sales volume rising sharply, while industry-wide profit margins plunge to a record low of 4.4%. That collapse forced a massive industry consolidation, shrinking a field of roughly 500 manufacturers down to a projected 8 to 12 survivors. The companies that survived this crucible, giants like BYD and battery maker CATL, stayed alive through a strategy of extreme vertical integration. This diagram outlines how that integration works. Instead of buying parts from a network of outside vendors, companies like BYD brought the supply chain in-house. They mine the raw lithium, manufacture the battery cells, and build highly integrated 8-in-1 electric axles. Controlling every step eliminates the middleman markups that Western automakers pay. That extreme efficiency translates into massive scale. Chinese manufacturers now produce and control over 70% of the world's entire electric vehicle battery supply. Washington views this structural manufacturing lead as an advantage built through engineering and scale, rather than a simple reliance on subsidies or low labor costs. Facing a saturated domestic market, these highly efficient Chinese giants are now aggressively pushing their inventory outward to the rest of the globe. Because direct U.S. imports face a 100% tariff wall, Chinese firms have started establishing manufacturing footprints just across the southern border in Mexico. This opens a potential loophole through the USMCA trade agreement. Under the rules of that deal, if a vehicle assembled in Mexico contains at least 75% North American parts and meets specific labor wage requirements, it can legally enter the United States entirely duty-free. If that backdoor remains open, an influx of ultra-low-priced, heavily subsidized EVs would stream into the American market. For Detroit automakers struggling to sell EVs at double the price, industry analysts have labeled this a potential extinction-level event. The physical chassis of the car is only half the equation. Modern electric vehicles operate as rolling data centers. They are equipped with highly advanced sensory arrays. They use LiDAR, interior microphones, GPS tracking, and telematics units that continuously communicate with cell networks, satellites, and smart home appliances. That connectivity triggered the second defensive wall. The Department of Commerce issued a final rule, effectively banning the import or sale of any vehicle connectivity systems or automated driving systems developed by entities tied to foreign adversaries. The explicit fear is that these highly connected vehicles could be weaponized to map sensitive U.S. military infrastructure or to secretly harvest vast amounts of personal data from American citizens and beam it directly to foreign intelligence servers. The threat of remote manipulation is a proven reality. Recently, a public transit operator in Norway discovered that commercial buses built by the Chinese manufacturer Yutong could be completely shut down remotely by the manufacturer. A 100% economic tariff might protect a factory worker in Michigan, but it does absolutely nothing to stop a piece of software from collecting data. The hardware and software bans are Washington's admission that the digital threat requires an entirely different shield. These economic tariffs and technological blockades have severed the connection between the U.S. auto market and the world's most dominant EV supply chain. By erecting these barriers, the federal government is buying the domestic auto industry time to overhaul its supply chains and modernize its technology. Detroit now faces a narrow window to close the gap with foreign competitors that are already mass-producing integrated e-axles and advanced autonomous software.